Hey guys, how's it going? This is Kendrys. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be analyzing the Hellboy art style. So first, I'm going to explain what the artist is doing with the line arts, the colors, shadows, and the proportions. And then I'm going to show you ways you can get similar results using Clip Studio Paint. So Hellboy is pretty cool. It's this comic, and it has this cool art style, pretty unique. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the line art. And the line art is pretty cool. You see how it is. It's pretty much like, there's not much line weight. It's just like one thickness, like a micron pen kind of. Yeah, so it's pretty much like the same line weight. So the lines look very hand-drawn. Like they don't look like they were, it doesn't look like it was done with rulers or anything. It was done, by hand and very steady, but you still can see it was done by hand. Like it's not, I would say there's no perfectly straight lines and perfect curves. You could see that was kind of hand drawn, but still it's not slopping anyway. It just it has that feel. So something pretty cool that this artist does is that it has a lot of these little lines all over, and that is not done for example, to do like shading or anything like that. It's more like for texture. You see hairs of the character, it's not done to show the form, like you see a lot of artists they round out the form and things like that. They give the shape or whatever. It's not really done in that way. It's done for texture pretty much, whether it's hair or I guess stuff on the clothes, or wrinkles and things like that. It's not really done, like I said, it's not done for shading or anything like that. But something pretty interesting is that you see that done here. This guy has more. You can tell he has more because he's in the foreground, so he's closer. And then you see these characters behind have less, or sometimes they don't even have anything. Oh, here he's pretty far, he doesn't really have any. So it's a way to show distance, because this style is pretty much done it's supposed to work without color. If you see this art without any color, it will still make sense. Everything, you can tell what's going on. So that's why you see, for example, he's lighting up the cigarette, and you see that it has a outline. It's not gonna be just color, and the lines aren't even colored. It's just black. The smoke, the same thing. It's not like some other styles where they color the lines and they make it seem like smoke. They give the smoke effect, so it has no outline kind of things. So that's pretty cool about this style, that it doesn't really try to hide the lines. It's it wants to show you the lines. And for example, everything pretty much is shown with the line. And for example, you see this thing back here, that's supposed to be light coming through. I guess there's a hole on top and then light shining through. And you see that it's actually a line dividing the whole thing. It's not just the color, this line dividing where the light is hitting. Like I said before, the lines and pretty much the black and white is supposed to kind of stand on its own, and it doesn't really need the color. So okay, let's move into the inks or the shadows. It's pretty much the same thing here. the inks are pretty, it's pretty much like shapes. It's not really like, seeing all the styles, for example, let me see. You're seeing all the styles, you have something like this, and then they try to like, even if you have a shape like this, they have the dark part, and then try to do like some shading, kind of like to make it look like, oh, it's fading. In this style, this style doesn't do that. It's pretty much shapes, but the kind of, I guess the workaround will be that instead of having like the lines like that, it has like these little like triangles. You see, see here, let's see. So instead of going like, let's say the same example, instead of going like this and doing like this little shading, this style kind of goes like that. It does like the same, it's a shape, but it's like one whole thing. It doesn't like break it down, like it doesn't have lines coming out of it. So you see, it already kind of has that look where, you know, the shading is done like that. It's not really shading, it's more, you know, the shadows are like in complete dark. Sometimes they have like some texture. Yeah, so the inking or like shadows are like pretty much like shapes, and that's the thing about the whole style. It's kind of more about shapes. It kind of keeps some like realistic proportions, but then, you know, exaggerates it, makes it more like shapes, like angular and things like that. So next thing I'm gonna talk about is the colors, and the colors actually are, for the most part, are very desaturated. If you see, it's all the way on the side for the most part, right? You see, like, you know, very desaturated colors, except for Hellboy. He is always, you know, very saturated, which is pretty cool. He like stands out, but for the most part, it's very like desaturated colors. If you want to have like a comic book kind of style like that, like a whole page, you know, something I noticed is like the whole page usually has like the same kind of look, like color wise. And, you know, like the colors is kind of like a green. You see green throughout like the whole thing. You know, it doesn't have like, everybody has their own color for the most part. Like it has like a, you know, you see here it's kind of grayish, blue. So it has that same look overall. See here, same thing, kind of like a similar look. You know, it makes sense. Like, I guess the environment has this kind of lighting, so everything's gotta be affected by it for the most part. You know, so things like that. Something else about the color is that it's not completely flat. It has no like shading. You know, it's just like color and then like the inks, but it does have like gradients. So the colors change. For example, you see this is a little darker, and then it changes. It gets a little brighter. It's kind of showing light, but with the gradients. Like you see, okay, it's lighter here because it's closer to the light, and then as it goes to the shadow, it goes like darker. You know. So I'm not completely sure what the artist used for like coloring this, but it looks like kind of like watercolor, has like some texture like that. So it's not just the grading, it also has like a little bit of texture. So okay, I'm gonna move to the next thing, and that is the proportions. And the proportions are kind of like kind of realistic. I'm not gonna say like completely realistic, right? Because obviously it's not, but I think the proportions are very close to like human anatomy. But what it does is it makes it like more exaggerated, like I was saying before, like more angular and things like that. Yeah, so about the faces, they seem to be kind of a little like slightly like long. And let's say this is like halfway of the face, and you see the eyes are very like on the top. They're not in the middle like manga. In manga, you see a lot of times the eyes are like in the middle. This is like a slightly higher, so kind of like human, kind of long jaws, I guess. For the most part, you know, it depends on the character, but even this guy, see like his eyes are like above the like halfway point. They kind of have like a longer bottom of the face, I guess. Yeah. So I think that's some of the more like the things that stand out the most about the style. And let me tell you maybe a few tricks to get this kind of effect. So let's see how the sketch like this, and then you want to turn into that style kind of. You know, you will, instead of having like curves, it's more like angular, you know, more angular look. And you just try to make it less round and things like that. Yeah, so let's say I did this example. Basic stuff, add this kind of texture to the characters. I mean, girls usually don't, you know, you don't want to put too many things on the face, like things, but you know, throughout the body, you know, clothing, you can put it, things like that. Remember the shadows. You need like really strong shadows. Yeah, remember, let's say somebody is like far away, they're not gonna have like a lot of things. It's gonna be more like basic. So when you have them together, you know, this looks like it's closer. For the colors, remember that they're desaturated colors, and you want to have like a slight gradient to it, and a little bit of like kind of watercolor, or some texture in the back to kind of give it that look like watercolor or something. So if you want to have like a gradient, stuff like that, you could, you know, just put it on top of the flats, you know, like that. You have the flat colors, and then like you can kind of have like a gradient, and yeah, and then you can come in like with a brush and add a little bit of effect, kind of give it a little texture. So that's pretty much the idea of the style. Is lines are pretty much the same line width, and the main thing to keep in mind is that it's supposed to work without color. Like, you know, things like this, like the fire, like the light, you know, the light like piercing through, you know, you kind of have to show that with like the dark, you know, black lines. Yeah, things like that. It's supposed to be like a very graphic look, which, you know, is like the blacks are like straight up black. There's no like shading. You know, shadows like just straight up black. You know, and with the grading and stuff like that, it makes it a little bit more, I guess, three-dimensional and more interesting. But it's mainly supposed to be like a very like 2D like graphic look. So I'm gonna be doing more videos like this, like analyzing different styles. And so if you guys have any suggestions, leave that in the comments. And yeah, I'm gonna be doing stuff. It can be from anime, manga, comics, you know, just regular American cartoons or whatever. Yeah, or video games or anything like that. So if you have any suggestions, or you know, maybe things that I should talk about that I didn't talk about in this style, or things that I missed, you can leave that in the comments. So that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye.